Topping today's news, the Deputy Prime Minister reacts to threats of industrial action at LPIA. While in Florida, the Prime Minister invites black hoteliers to invest in the Bahamas, a new Bahamian-owned manufacturing company on the rise, and a trio in Grand Bahama charged with manslaughter. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. Thanks for joining us. Labor unrest at the country's ports of entry, specifically the airport here in the capital and on the Family Islands. The government is calling a sick-out staged by airport workers illegal, and this comes after a warning by the Bahamas Public Service Union President Kingsley Ferguson last week that the airport union was prepared to take industrial action. With the details, we go to our Delvado Emmanuel.
Get them doctor certificate, 5 solid days, my friend. Like Marty Norton say, well, we need to go for 7 good days. 7 good days. Family Island, Nassau, everybody. Get them and let's lock the place down.
That is the voice of Bahamas Public Services Union President Kingsley Ferguson, who clearly incites a sick-out for Airport Airline and Allied Workers Union members across the Bahamas. And with multiple employees at airports throughout the country following through with the AAAW threats of industrial action, Minister of Labor Keith Bell says that the strike was in fact illegal and called for workers to report to work effective immediately.
At 8:12 a.m. this morning, President Ferguson was advised by the Director of Labor that the matter regarding the trade dispute on outstanding payments owed to the members of the BPSU employed by the Airport Authority was referred to the Industrial Tribunal, and as such, any industrial action, including a planned sick-out taken by BPSU, could be deemed illegal. In that conversation, President Ferguson acknowledged the advice given by Director Ferguson. Based on the aforementioned, and in my capacity as the Minister of Labor, I am formally advising the members of the BPSU that planned the sick-out, resulting in members of the BPSU's failure to report for normal duty, is an illegal strike.
With the strike being in breach of the law, Minister Bell says as Minister of Labor, he's prepared to intervene. 90% of the 200 employees assigned to the airport in New Providence did not show up for normal work duties, and over 170 on islands across the Bahamas. According to the Director of Labor, Robert Ferguson, in that vein, Minister Bell says that the government is prepared to take legal action.
Any person who contravenes the provisions of subsection 1 shall be guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction to A, in the case of an employee, to a fine not exceeding $200 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months or to both such fine and imprisonment. B, in the case of a union, or a member of the executive committee or other governing body of a union or an employer, to a fine not exceeding $10,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or to both such fine and imprisonment. As Minister of Labor, I am now prepared to personally intervene in this matter, along with Director Ferguson and the senior officers within my ministry, and formally invite the President of the BPSU to the bargaining table to resolve all outstanding matters amicably.
As it relates to monies owed, the Labor Director says over $800,000 has been approved and paid out.
Any person who contravenes the provisions of subsection 1 shall be guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction to A, in the case of an employee, to a fine not exceeding $200 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 months or to both such fine and imprisonment. B, in the case of a union or a member of the executive committee or other governing body of a union or an employer, to a fine not exceeding $10,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years or to both such fine and imprisonment. As Minister of Labor, I am now prepared to personally intervene in this matter, along with Director Ferguson and the senior officers within my ministry, and formally invite the President of the BPSU to the bargaining table to resolve all outstanding matters amicably.
According to Director Ferguson, there are other matters needing to be addressed and is calling for the union president to come to the table and discuss them sooner rather than later. For JCN News, I'm Delvado Emmanuel.
Thanks for that report, Delvado. Well, while hundreds of airport, airline, and allied workers union members from across the country, at airports across the country, did not show up for work on Monday morning, including 90% of workers at the airport here in the capital, officials at the Lynden Pinling International Airport, LPIA, were braced for industrial unrest. The Bahamas Airport Authority, that's the BAA, in a statement on Sunday, noted that contingency plans were mobilized to ensure minimal, if any, disruption and inconvenience to both international and domestic travelers. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper, speaking with reporters at LPIA, says while there was some impact due to the number of workers that called in, operations at LPIA were not impacted significantly as a good number of people did show up for work. The DPM spoke specifically to the airport's tight contingency plan.
We expected this, and we called in the support of the police, who provided the COVID policing officers, as well as the recruits that's currently at the college, as well as significant support from the senior command and the other officers, as well as support from the defense force. So all of the systems are working hand in hand to ensure no adverse impact. So we have a great tight plan. There are other components to this plan, and we are working as a team to ensure that we continue services to the public.
It was initially reported that some 20 airport screening staff across the Bahamas had called in sick on Monday morning in an illegal move, according to the Department of Labor. DPM Cooper says this morning's action by the airport workers is most unfortunate, particularly considering an international team from Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, was conducting inspections at LPIA.
Suffice to say, this is a regrettable situation. We've been in office for 9 months. We've looked at the agreement in principle that was left in place by the former administration. Many years passed since 2018. This negotiation has been going on, and there was no finalized agreement. We thought we were making significant progress over the past 8-9 months. We asked for compromise. We asked for patience on behalf of the Bahamian people. The action today, we think, is a strong tactic, and we are going to do what's best for the Bahamian people. We will not allow the interests of a few to trump the interests of the wider Bahamian community and the Bahamian people.
Deputy Prime Minister Cooper notes the government will continue to talk with the union to negotiate in good faith. The BAA, too, assuring the traveling and general public that they are putting all efforts to work together in industrial harmony with relevant stakeholders. Our news team tried to reach out to BPSU President Kingsley Ferguson for a comment, but was unsuccessful up to press time. Prime Minister Philip Davis had the opportunity to speak to a group of potential investors while appearing at a black hotel owners, operators, and developers meeting in Miami, and he encouraged the investors to consider doing business in the Bahamas. The Prime Minister laid a number of facts on the table as to why the Bahamas would be an excellent choice to invest at this time. We hear more in this report. While speaking at the annual National Association of Black Hotel Owners, Operators, and Developers (NABHOD) Awards and Scholarship Luncheon in Miami, Florida on the weekend, Prime Minister Philip Davis made a plea to the potential investors to consider doing business in the Bahamas through the government's public-private partnership initiatives, particularly in the tourism and financial services industry.
Even as we work to diversify our economy, tourism and financial services will remain our center pillars. It is against this backdrop that we seek opportunities for strategic partnerships. At 26 years and counting, NABHOD works to increase entrepreneurial and wealth creation opportunities by providing the resources, training, and the platforms necessary to develop, manage, operate, and own hotels.
NABHOOD is said to have the largest black-owned hotel directory in the world, as well as the oldest and largest resource center for black students interested in careers in the hospitality industry. Mr. Davis believes NABHOOD would be an excellent partner in the Bahamian tourism industry.
Because a priority for me is building and expanding Bahamian executive employment and ownership within our tourism industry. Your workshops and trade shows and partnerships with global hotel brands offer invaluable opportunities for networking, mentorship, and training regarding hotel ownership, investment, financing, and development. This resource, in addition to the global NABHOOD Hospitality Student Leadership Program, represents unique opportunities for scholarships and a student exchange program with us in the Bahamas, with our Bahamas Hotel Training College, to produce entrepreneurs and hoteliers, and we invite NABHOOD to partner with us.
As energy cost is one of the biggest expenses in running hotels, the Prime Minister assured potential investors that the government is working to see a reduction in energy cost across the board. He then explained to the black businessmen that following the COVID-19 pandemic, the Bahamas' tourism industry is thriving, and now is a good time to invest.
Coming out of the pandemic, we find that the strength of our brand, the appeal of the Bahamas, remains undimmed, undiminished. In fact, if anything, it has strengthened to the extent that we need to grow our supply. We need investments in visitor accommodations as demand for hotel rooms and so on is struggling to keep up with the supply as I speak. We need investment in our cultural and entertainment offering so that visitors have a wider and larger choice of activities while on vacation. And we need investors like you to partner with us to provide it. Investors who embrace our national priorities and share our cultural heritage. Investors who themselves understand that in this post-COVID era of climate change, we need to innovate in more ambitious ways than ever before. And investors who seek the kind of skilled workforce and the stable legal and financial framework that the Bahamas offers.
Mr. Davis also reminded the investors that the Bahamas is more than just sun, sand, and sea, and that the government is expanding tourism in the blue, green, and orange economy, in addition to the cultural, medical, religious, and sports tourism markets. A major turn for the country's manufacturing industry is on the horizon, with a fresh new Bahamian manufacturing company making introductions today. Our Caitlin Babs has more on this story.
The revitalizing of the Bahamas manufacturing industry is underway as Bahamas Mineral and Manufacturing Corporation Limited prepares to revolutionize Bahamian manufacturing and produce high-quality products made here in the country. The manufacturing company President Mitchell K.A. Thurston and Vice President Ashram Brister-Roll saying this and more in a press briefing today, aiming to introduce themselves to the Bahamian public.
Over the past 2 years, my fellow co-founder and I, along with our team, have been developing and refining what today we present to you as BMMC, Bahamas Mineral and Manufacturing Corporation Limited. BMMC Limited is a two-tiered company focused on mineral processing and product manufacturing. We aim to revolutionize Bahamian manufacturing and produce and supply superior quality products while operating globally and always in the Bahamas' best interests.
The president says that the idea for the company came to him in the early stages of the pandemic when the country was just entering lockdown.
Upon listening to the cries of Bahamians daily about what we need to do to grow our economy and the fact that most of what we use, we import, I thought that I could be a part of that difference and manufacture products locally, specifically construction-grade products, because of the constant demand and resiliency of the construction industry.
He says that the goal of the company is to remain as Bahamian as possible, stating that while the names of the investors are confidential at this stage, they are all Bahamian. He also shared that the BMM site of operations will be a state-of-the-art facility located in Freeport, Grand Bahama, adding to the current restructuring of Grand Bahama's economy after the blow of Hurricane Dorian and the effects of the pandemic.
BMMC decided that Freeport was by far the best place for us to be headquartered for several reasons. One, the access to and affordability of land. Two, the reliability of its infrastructure. And three, the proximity to the Freeport Container Port, which is a gateway to the entire world.
The president and VP contend that, with the headquarters being located in the heart of Grand Bahama, Grand Bahamians will also be able to benefit, with BMMC looking to add an estimated total of 15 persons to their team. The hired individuals will be trained accordingly. For JCN News, I'm Caitlin Babb.
Thanks for that report, Caitlin. We'll take a break here, and we'll be right back after these commercials.